a lot of people don't read, sadly to say. You know, even a lot of people in the studio system don't read, you know, especially agents and managers. A lot of them don't. Some do. I'm not saying all of them, but.
Is it fair to say you've read hundreds of screenplays in your lifetime?
Maybe. Read over 100. I don't know about hundreds. You know, when I had the job reading scripts, I only worked there 3 months. So, I mean, you could count up how many there. I've read a lot of them. I think when I write, I think more of the movies, and I've definitely seen 10,000 to 100,000 movies in my life. So, so I think more in the movie sense of when I'm writing, you know. It's funny because structure is really good for some people. I think the only time you should not be looking at structure is if you've already done it so much and you know it inside and out that you can break certain rules. I think people that don't even learn about it and they write, what do you do? You don't know about your craft. Like, what are you doing? And it might be good for people that don't know what they're talking about, but people that have seen 10,000 movies or more, you could get lucky, but chances are you might end up boring them. So some structure would usually be pretty good, you know, a beginning, middle, and an end, you know. So I just saw Horizon, Kevin Costner's movie, and it did, you know, he's making like a TV series without a beginning, middle, and an end in that first movie, and it's 3 hours long, and you're trying to change the medium, and that's something totally different. But mostly screenplays should have audiences should have some kind of idea what they're in store for. It actually helps them process the movie and watch it better because they don't have to worry about, oh, I know this movie's going to end in an hour and a half or whatever it is. They know something what's coming helps them. It helps them like the movie, it seems like to me. I don't know.
But maybe not so much that they can just totally see the ending? Or
No, I don't think they want to know what's predictable 100%. But I think a 3-act structure was made a long time ago, you know, in movies, and it's worked for so very long. You know, it's kind of like the same themes you see in movies and stuff like that. Human beings have been telling stories for hundreds, thousands of years. It's an art form that's been crafted, and there's value in that. Now, I'm not saying you can't break the rules and change things. And ultimately, the art film form is always changing in some kind of way, but also it's staying the same in a lot of ways too. So, you know, if you're going to write, you should be reading scripts, you should be studying how to make scripts and studying the movies and then crafting them into your own personal stories and changing them from what they were on the screen already, you know, other people's movies. So.
And of the screenplays that you read, you said maybe 100, how many have been turned into film or television, actual projects?
Gosh, not many, to be honest with you. Maybe 10, 20 tops, you know. Even some of the really good scripts that I read, there was a script, I might have signed an NDA, but I don't even remember. I don't think I did. It's been so long, I'll still talk about it. There was a script called Manwich that was at Todd Phillips's office. And I thought we were going to make that. They were so gung-ho on this script, and they ended up making Hangover instead. And I was gung-ho on Hangover, you know. I remember reading Hangover script, and it was like, it was amazing, you know. It was a murder mystery comedy, and no one had done anything in that vein before. And I always thought Hangover was going to be huge. And I was walking around the office. There's only 5 or 6 people in Todd Phillips's office, maybe less. And I was always like, when are we going to do Hangover? Forget this other script, you know? And they ended, obviously, Todd was thinking the same thing. I don't know, you know, I don't think anyone was necessarily listening to me, but he definitely made Hangover, and it was a huge success, so. But yeah, there was other movies, you know, there was some movies I read there that Todd wasn't going to do that got turned into a script. Or there was How High or something. There was some other movies that were made independently back then, actually, that production company, Green Hat, turned down, and they made independently. There's Friends scripts that I've read that they ended up making, you know. And sometimes you give them notes and they change it, and sometimes, you know, people don't want your notes, you know. And I never give anyone notes if they didn't ask me for notes, you know. I don't criticize, and also I don't criticize their film if they don't ask what I think about it. It's, you know, everyone assumes, it's so funny, so many people assume that you want their opinion. And it's a funny thing because everyone's got an opinion. So you think, and they come from a place they think they're going to make you better, but the truth is it's just their opinion. There's no real right answer in art. And maybe they have a valid opinion and it would help you, but if you didn't ask for it, you're not going to accept their opinion, or the person that you're giving your opinion to is not going to accept it if they didn't ask for it. So.
And then there's the rare ones that really want to see something of yours and then really want to tell you what was wrong with it. There's a small percentage of people that do that in LA, and you will notice that. They don't have to be in LA, but yeah, then and it's learning how to take some of that in. Maybe they're correct in some of what they're saying, and maybe there's other agendas. But yeah, there's some of those too.
I don't hide from it. I mean, like, if I usually let people just talk if they're going to talk. Like, I don't shut them down so much. It's, you know, most people are going to tell you that you did good, even if they don't even think you did good. So it's hard for me sometimes to take a compliment, sadly. And I wish I would take those in more, you know, especially people that genuinely enjoy the things that I make. But it all kind of becomes white noise in a way, because it's like, you can't let the negative affect you, and you can't really let the positive affect you in the sense of ego. You know, you can take the enjoyment from the compliment, but don't think you're necessarily special. I mean, because so many people help you. If you do anything good, usually so many people help you. Even though I wear so many hats. I mean, I'm editing, I'm directing, I'm acting, I wrote them. There's still so many people that help me. So you can take the compliment and feel good about it, but don't let it get to your head.
What do you think is the difference between the film and television projects that you read, the scripts that you read, that got made versus those that did not? What do you think was there, or maybe it varied from project to project?
You know, it's funny. It's like, you'd think it'd be really easy to write a good script, but it's just not, you know? And it also depends where the state of the world is, you know, which is a huge part of it. You know, something that was amazing in the 90s, now people get and they think this is really good, but it's not what people are watching right now, you know? It's like this perfect storm of events, really, to have this script that is in the exact vein of what people need to hear and want to hear, and at the same time entertaining and in a new, unique voice. Or something also has to kind of be unique about it, but also somewhat similar. You know, I think some of the things that I've read or that I've even written do the best when people go, oh, that's kind of like this or kind of like that. So it has to be somewhat similar in a way. My new script, Attachment Theory, the people that read it, everyone seems to really love the script, but they compare it to True Romance. You know, I've heard it compared to True Romance a lot, and the story's nothing like that, but it's same tone in a way, or something reminds them of that. But then they really like it, you know. As to where, you know, it's never universal though. You're gonna have to find one person that thinks your script's amazing and gives you money or pumps you up to the studio or whatever it is. And a lot of people don't read. Sadly to say, you know, even a lot of people in the studio system don't read, you know, especially agents and managers. A lot of them don't. Some do. I'm not saying all of them, but they're a hype wagon. They're, you know, this is great, or everybody loves it. You know, they'll repeat all the things all day long, but how many people actually read it? You know, how many people watch things nowadays? Now there's so much things to watch. They don't even watch things too. You hand somebody to watch something, and my things, I put so much energy in to make them look great. But it's hard to get somebody to sit down and actually watch your stuff because there's so many people making stuff. There's a lot of white noise. So, you know, they have to watch it. And some people, they watch my stuff a year later and they go, that's just really good. You know, they're like shocked. I'm like, yeah, you should have watched it when I gave it to you a year ago. So that's kind of how that goes. But
you had said While I Got Wasted was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Weekend at Bernie's meets The Hangover or something? Yeah. So you had already had that sort of, you know, this Hollywood hit plus this one equals what the movie is. And you said that's necessary, you think?
I think, you know, if people know it's similar to something else and know that that other thing's successful, it's very easy for them to wrap their brain around this being successful. So to being similar, I think if you're really, really different, not a lot of people can understand it, you know, because most of the decision makers are about money, you know, they're trying to figure out the next thing to make a lot of money. I'd say very, very little amount of studio executives are sitting there going, how do we entertain people in a new way? You know, they're thinking about how do we get something that's going to be a blockbuster hit and make a lot of money. And if your thing is similar to something else that made a lot of money, I'm sad to say it, but the studios are all over those things. You know, oh, it's like Lord of the Rings, or oh, it's like Godzilla, or whatever it is. If it's similar and they can wrap their head around, well, that made a lot of money, so maybe we can ride the coattails of that and make at least this much money. And that's why studios go in such waves of like, oh, this is superhero movies. Superhero movies are in. We can do as many as we possibly can until literally people are like, yeah, we're over it. And then they'll start doing something else. But if they figure out something else is making money, everyone's going to jump on that bandwagon. You know, if a Western made $1 billion yesterday, every studio tomorrow will be making a Western. It's just, but they're not. So then no one's making Westerns, you know. So I think that's kind of how that ebbs and flows. It's all about money.
Well, I know your sister's a musician. Do you think that that's the same in the music industry?
I don't know the music industry as well as I know the film industry. I don't know that I can talk about it educationally, but I think a hit is a hit. If I was to talk about music, I think if it gets stuck in your head, that's a big part of it. And I also think that there's monopolies in music. Spotify now, there's a lot of monopolies that if they play music long enough, it's a hit as people start singing it. So that business, I have a jaded, you know, point of view on because I've seen in the inside workings of it a lot.
Sure. Yeah, I was just wondering. I mean, and what you just said, if the song gets stuck in your head, I wonder if it's the same. If the ending, if you're blown away by the ending for the movie, then it's a hit as well. So maybe similar.
It's similar in a way, yeah. If I'm thinking about a film a day later, 2 days later, if you can make something that I'm thinking about, you know, a week later, 2 weeks later, you did a really good job making a film. I mean, that's the truth. Sad part is a lot of people go to the shock factor to do that, and that's kind of an easy sell, but people definitely do it. Something in the film that's graphic, you can usually remember it weeks later, days later, as to where it's much harder to make a scene that's two human beings talking and somehow because it's so relatable, because it's such a topic that human beings connect to, that they're thinking about it a week later without all the glitz and the glamour behind it. That's harder to do and usually more respected in our industry.